What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Johnny5 Alive here. Welcome back to another episode of Yeti Land. Get the popcorn, guys. This is going to be our longest episode of Yeti Land yet, and we're at 10 times speed. So we're going to get a lot done in today's episode. So stay tuned, and let's check it out. Alright, so in today's episode, we're building custom supports for Darla. Now, here's the thing, guys. I had this from the very moment I put down the first few tracks on Darla. See those supports down there to the left? They're just stretching all the way down the mountain to the ground. I thought they looked atrocious. Even when I finished creating it, I went through and tried to remove a bunch of the supports, and it just wasn't good enough because some sections are so long that if you remove the supports, it's just floating. So I had the thought of like, I don't like these supports. Maybe I should make custom supports. And whenever I have a thought, if somebody else thinks the same thing too, then I just kind of have to do it. So there were about 2 or 3 comments, maybe even 4, in episode 14 when we built Darla, of people's of people saying maybe you should do custom supports, and then someone else said, I don't like the supports to kind of break the immersion of your coaster and blah blah blah. So a few people said that, and I was just kind of like, crap, all right, I guess I better get to work. And so I constructed this little wooden tower, kind of like the same pieces that we used on our Yeti station. So I wanted it to be similar to what the Yetis built their station out of, so it could kind of sell the idea that the Yetis also built the coaster. So it's going to be the world's first wooden hybrid torque launched coaster. So that's very cool. I'm pretty excited about that, but it's a lot of work. Excuse me. Yeah, it's a lot of work and a lot of fidgeting. So I created this one kind of support stand that you could see there, and then sometimes I'll add like some length to it, but then we get to these parts where it's kind of hanging out, and we're gonna have to adjust it and stuff it into the wall and make it look like it's being supported somehow by using different angular pieces of wood to somewhat prop it up and hold it into place. Now, I knew we had a lot of supports to go through, and I didn't really care if it was perfect. Like, there's probably some carpenters and coaster builders out there that would go, oh, that's freaking dreadful, how dare you, that's not a real support. But the Yetis made it, guys. I don't really care. The Yetis don't care. If the coaster falls apart, well, that's what's supposed to happen when Yetis build coasters. So it's somewhat believable as much as possible, to a point that's going to keep us sane. And like, even I'm putting as much care into it as possible, but I'm also trying to say, what can I do to cut corners a little bit? So some of the supports may seem a little bit strange, some of them make sense, but generally it's pretty good. And all that matters to me is when you're on the coaster and you're on the track and you're actually riding the coaster, you see these wooden supports off to the side. And you see the supports running underneath the track. So, that's what's important to me, is that it has this almost authentic wooden roller coaster feel. And at the end result, it does sell that. And what's really nice about these just being propped into the side of the mountain, they're not like shooting out all the way to the ground. They're much smaller supports. They're just these little stationary things that were built into the side of the cliff, and that's gonna clean up our supports. But at the same time, they're kind of fat, they're kind of wide, they're much bigger than your average support. But compared to a wooden coaster, like a real wooden or wooden hybrid coaster, it's nowhere near as crazy as what you see on those. So it's a nice mixture between the two. It cleans up the lengthy, ugly, long steel supports that we're having problems with that look so ugly. It makes it feel more wooden, but we're not going to the other, the far right problem, where if this was a wooden coaster, we would just have wood everywhere, and that would also kind of create problems for us. It wouldn't look good either. We want a nice mixture of like, it's clean, but it has little bits of wood here and there, and it looks as if the Yetis built it. But we also want it to be believable. So you'll see here when we get to the inversions and the loops, things get a little bit hairy and a little bit crazy. Sorry guys, just having to clear my throat a lot. I recorded a whole bunch of videos today, and I just finished talking through a 40-minute, the last Yeti episode that I released before this, I recorded it literally just before this. So I'm doing the recordings back to back. My throat is getting a little bit irritated from all the talking. So if my mic cuts out, that's me just coughing, clearing my throat. And yeah, so I got all these things and I'm propping them up. They're kind of floating. My thought process with that is if something's floating a little bit, I'll go fix the terrain at the end. So we will go in there after and do another pass with our terrain. And what's kind of cool is like I'm leaving the supports there, the steel ones for now, to give me a kind of like a reference point of like, hey, where should I put another support? Like, so I'm kind of putting it in between the supports and, you know, trying to line it up with the current supports and not leaving too much of a gap in between these large supports. So I'm trying to make it somewhat realistic in that sense. And as you can see here, like doing custom supports is a little bit tricky because you can't actually have it touching the track. So there's the most tedious part of this whole task was really just like angling the top of the wood there to match the angle of the track, and then like trying to squeeze it in and find the spot where it allows me to build it. And we get it tight enough to a point where you can't notice it unless you're looking really close. And if you're looking at it from a distance or you're riding the coaster itself, you will actually never notice. So it turns out being really good. So I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm really excited to show you guys the end result. And I noticed, I was just looking at the footage, and I was like, oh no, I didn't show them the coaster. I didn't ride the coaster, and that was a little bit silly of me. So I'm pretty good with my save files. I save things off in sections. So before we went into the next stage, I had a save right before that. So I went back into the game just like 10 minutes ago and recorded some footage for you guys of the coaster, because you guys have to see it, not even see it, you have to hear it, because you hear these wooden supports as you whiz by them, especially the ones that I do. I'll actually encompass the track kind of like a loop around it, like it's holding it in from all angles, so you go through almost like a little tunnel of wood. And when you hear that wood go by, it's like it's so freaking crazy. It's like you're driving on the highway and you're whipping by cars or something. It gives you that same speed sound, just it's really cool. So I'm really happy with the way it sounds, but most of all, I like the way it looks. It has this really cool rustic feel, and it leads us into a whole new area of fun, which it opens up new possibilities, which we'll talk about in a second here. So this part was a little bit tricky because it's so high up off the ground and it's doing a loop. So we have to support that. So we have to have the supports going up high enough, almost like a tower of scaffold. And because of the inversion, it twists and comes down the other side. It's also, you know, in order to get the wood on each side, we have a bottom track and a top track that are slightly not adjacent to one another. They're slightly offset. So getting this to work was pretty tricky. So I decided to space out these tall scaffolds and then lay a beam through it that goes right up against the track itself. So it's almost like the track was tied into these wooden planks, and the planks are there just to hold these center planks up. And it gave it a really cool look, and it gave it a really cool feel, because as you're coming down the coaster, you're actually going in between the two scaffold walls. So you're kind of like almost going through like a wooden tunnel, and it's kind of hugging you as you're going down it. And I really like the effect that you get from it. And it's really cool because now what we've built is we've essentially built these 2 towers. And as I was doing this, I started thinking to myself, oh my God, this opens up new possibilities. And I explained this in one of the last episodes. I think it was episode 14. I said we don't want to have yetis anywhere but the cave, because we want them to be in their own yeti land. Excuse me. And the original concept was we were going to have yeti land as the cave area, and then this area with the big peak that looks over Frank, that was supposed to be a fantasy area. Now things are sort of changing. We're still probably going to have it a fantasy area, but the yetis are going to be just roaming through. However, they just don't have an interest in destroying fantasy stuff because they want gingerbread. Ultimately, they're only attacking the gingerbread town because they want the presents and the candy. They have no interest in destroying castles, so they just leave it alone. So that, at least that's the idea right now. Things are still always subject to change when we're being creative like this. We might change our mind, but so far I've been pretty good with following through with the plans, and so far I've done everything I've said I was going to do, and I continue to go down that route because I have a vision, and the vision always changes. It's not exactly what I expected it to be, and it becomes something different, but the general foggy vision comes to life, but it becomes something so much more clear and unique, more than what I originally envisioned. So it's always a fun process when you come up with an idea and then you see the end result being something so much different than what you thought it would be, but the general concept and the principles is all based off of your original idea. So it always comes out to be somewhat similar to what you thought it would be. And so anyways, I got off on a rant or tangent there. So because we have all these supports now, I thought, looking at what we did with the Yeti Land Station and now they're all hanging onto it, and, the wood gives us so much room to hang Yetis. So I thought, we're going to have to cover this whole frickin' coaster with Yetis. And that's essentially what the next episode is. So that's why this episode's so long. I didn't want to have 2 back-to-back episodes of me building supports. I want to at least gratify you guys with being able to ride the coaster at the end of this episode, rather than just having like this, hey, we built supports for this episode. Check out the next episode where we make more supports. I don't want to punish you guys like that. It was a painful process for me to do this. I mean, we're looking at a 50-minute recording, almost an hour, and this is at 10 times speed. So what is that? 12 hours? I don't really know. It doesn't seem right. Sorry guys, my brain is fried today. So technically, shouldn't that be 6 hours? No, it's 10 hours. It's 10 hours. Boy, I'm silly. The sixes in the freaking clock are throwing me off, guys. It's not regular numbers. So an hour is 60 minutes, but it was 1 hour, and it's at 10 times speed. So that 1 hour is 10 hours, derp. So yeah, that's actually easy math. I'm overcomplicating things too much, guys. So yeah, it was about a 10-hour process laying down all these supports. So it is a long episode, but it'll be worth it in the end, guys. When you get to watch the video, I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, giving you guys a sneak peek at what the next episode is we are covering these supports with Yetis, and I still have a little bit work to do. Just I think it was Monday I got to touch it for another hour or two, and I got all the Yetis in. However, they need some variation. I got to switch up some of their faces, give them hats, like we do in all of the episodes. We randomize them a little bit and customize them a little bit. So the Yetis are in. They're in place. They look amazing as you're whizzing by them. I've put them in key locations. I mean, I should really not talk about it too much, but this episode's kind of boring. I need to find something to talk about. So we might as well talk about it a little bit. But yeah, I put them in key locations so that you can see them as you're passing by. So what I did is I push play on the coaster and then stop it as soon as I saw some supports. And I'd look at that shot of the supports and go, okay, if I put one up the top right there, hang one off the bottom left here, you come in and you have this nice shot of 3 Yetis sprawled out on this one support. And then I'd push play and you'd whiz by them, and I'd pause it again and go, okay, I need 2 Yetis over here. By the end of it, guys, we must have like 100 Yetis. It's absolutely insane. They are swarming on this coaster, and it looks so cool because they're all like, they're curious. Yetis are a curious creature, and they built this coaster, and they're almost like, you know, standing by and watching the people and like cheering them on kind of thing, and they're having fun with it, and they're curious, so they're trying to get up as close as possible without, you know, getting hit. Some of them are falling, some of them are doing, you know, crazy things. They're showboating a little bit. They want to show off to the people, like, look at me, I'm hanging at the top of this thing, and, you know, they're all having fun. And I'm even contemplating doing a few triggered events for them, but our triggered event list is fairly packed because of that lighting sequence we did in the last episode. So I'm running into a little bit of a debate with myself whether I should have a few triggered events. I mean, the only ones I could really do is a few explosions, some flamethrowers, and, you know, maybe some confetti and things like that. I'm still unsure about the whole thing in terms of triggered events. I think it's like we've done a lot to it. At the end of the day, if we look at Darla, she's this massive torque coaster that launches out of the top of a freaking Yeti cave, comes flying around a mountain, and starts doing these crazy inversions, pretzel rolls, up a cliffside, looking at a Yeti, and then it just continues to explore the cavern in like 4 different directions while doing twists and corkscrews the whole way through, and then makes itself back into the cave. So you know, it becomes something crazy in terms of length and excitement. It got like a 7 excitement rating, and it's like a freaking 3-minute long coaster, so it did very well in that sense. So we designed it pretty good. You know, it passed my QA pass in terms of an exciting coaster. And then, you know, the supports were so ugly that we made custom supports, and then that added a whole bunch of character to it. Oh, and I forgot, we did the whole triggered lights in the last episode, so we got a rainbow road that follows it for the nighttime shots, and even the daytime shot, the triggered events shoot up through the caves, which is pretty cool. And oh yeah, I totally forgot, the next episode isn't Yetis, guys. It's the frickin' boarding station. I made a whole boarding station for Darla, and it's absolutely magical. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't wait to show you guys. It's so pretty. We made it. It's a mixture between our misty blue, magical Yeti-ness that we have going on, but it's also, we added a touch of girliness to it. I got these like white stars and like white little box lights in there. I got rows of Christmas lights that using the blue white colors and stuff like that. I'm not really spoiling it because you guys have to visually imagine it, and you won't get to see it until you see it, so I can kind of describe it to you guys without spoiling too much. But I have to find something to talk about here, guys, so forgive me. In the end, yeah, we put it in a cage. We use all the same effects that we did on our Yeti boarding station for the boarding station for Darla. So we have those cages, we have the same kind of wood panels, and then we just went really crazy with the lights at the end. And I just thought of this now, I should probably put some mist in there, and maybe some mist in the caves as well. So maybe we'll have an episode after where we do some final special effects and maybe even a few triggered events. I'm not going to make any promises, but I definitely think the boarding station could use some mist. That's for sure something I should do. So yeah, all of that with the custom supports, the custom triggered lights that follow across the whole track. Beautiful boarding station. And then putting like over 100 Yetis all over the coaster, all customized in terms of animation poses and accessories, and maybe at the end some final triggered events, a couple touches of mist here and there. This thing turned out to be way more than I planned it to be. Part of me just wanted to build the coaster and call it a day and move on, because we have to still make the Yeti Army, the Yeti War. We have to make a dive coaster. We have to do all these things. But at the same time, we have to pay our respects to Darla, because this is the signature coaster to this park. If there's one thing that we got to do right on this park, is have one awesome coaster, because we spent all this time making hundreds of Yetis throughout the map. We got Frank, we got Betsy, all this time gone into the sculpting, and we've made this epic terrain and this epic story. And this is Planet Coaster after all, so we don't want just a theme park. We want an awesome roller coaster. So we have to bring it all together, and I think all the things that we do to Darla really makes it an outstanding park at the end of the day. So we're building the world's first wooden hybrid torque launched coaster built by the Yetis. No other coaster ever will have this kind of character. So I'm really proud to say that. I'm really proud of the effort gone into it, because so far just sculpting the terrain that we're gonna focus the coaster on, and navigate with the coaster. Like, we needed the terrain in order for this coaster to even be what it is today. We needed these caverns, we needed that cliff, we needed the the rivers and what are they called, the caverns with the water running through, and the waterfall. We needed the giant Yeti mountain, and from there we were able to design the coaster based off of the terrain. The terrain dictated what the coaster looked like and ran like at the end of the day. So there was many episodes just gone into getting that terrain right. So we can look at a good 10 hours right there. And then building Darla was another, who knows, 5-10 hours. And then the triggered events was 5 hours, and building supports was 10 hours. Placing the Yetis was 10 hours. And it's not even done yet. Building the station was a few hours. So at the end of the day, building Darla was like a 30-40 hour endeavor, and we got through it, and that's what's important. And the final result is really something special, I think. And I'm not trying to boast or anything. I'm proud of it, and you guys helped make it what it is today. I mean, your comments saying you should try this, you should do that, why don't you do this? I listened to all the comments, and there's a touch of every one of you in this coaster. So this is, I might be the mastermind behind it, controlling it, but we as a community made Darla what it is today. So it's really a fun process, and I'm happy to show this off, and I'm excited to show this off, because you guys have been with me on this whole journey from episode 1 to where we're at now. And while I may not be able to play the game that much, and it's only maybe 10 hours a week that I'm playing, and only maybe 2 or 3 episodes a week that we get a release, you guys still show up week after week after these 2 months that we've been working on this. And it's been a long time coming, and it's a fun process to share with you guys. So that's where the excitement for showing off this coaster comes from, is the fact that you've all been there along this journey. And truly, this coaster is influenced by you guys, because I didn't even have plans to build Darla. Somebody, I think a couple people said in the comments, like, when are you going to start building a ride? Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. A few people in the comments said, when are you going to start building rides for Yeti Land? And it's like we're like 14 or 12 episodes in at the time, and I'm thinking, yeah, we've been doing a lot of building, making buildings, doing terrain, sculpting, doing this and that. Maybe it's about time we start a coaster. And we were at a good time to start a coaster because we had all of our foundations in, we had all of our groundwork, and I figured it would be fun to derail and do something different. I was feeling like I needed a break from posing yetis and smashing buildings. Like, we've just finished building 5 custom train stations. So, you know, doing a coaster would have been a nice break. And like I said, when we built Darla, it's been like 2 months since I built a coaster because of all the blueprints I was making, all the videos I do on the channel. It just took me away from coasters. And, you know, I really enjoy making coasters. So, you know, you guys influenced me to get on with building the coasters, and then all along the way, you guys in your comments influenced the overall design of the coaster. So thank you everybody who's been watching the series, who's been involved in the comments, who's been just saying, oh, I love the coaster, or I love the park, or, you know, just showing your excitement for the series is really what makes me spend the extra time to go the extra mile. And at the end of the day, I could just wrap up this park and say, screw it, you know what, let's just put a few more yetis in, do a few things, and start building our park, and then just move on with another project or move on to something else, because I'm impatiently wanting to go finish my sci-fi buildings. I want to start another project. I want to do this. And part of me just wants to throw this aside and go do other things. But at the same time, I have this mentality of finish what you started. And it's so much easier to finish what I started and to keep pushing on for perfectionism because of you guys enjoying every single episode, sticking it through with me every step of the way makes this process so much more fun. And when I tackle these big giant jobs that take 10 hours to do, and I just get to sit here and talk to you guys about stuff and then read your comments after, makes it all worthwhile. So thank you to everybody for, you know, watching the Yetiland Let's Plays, because ultimately I didn't want this channel to be about spotlights. I do the spotlights to keep the lights on in the channel, figuratively and literally speaking. I get just enough views from the spotlights to essentially be able to do this full time, and that's why I make so many spotlight videos, because we're such a small channel right now. Technically, if I did one video a day, I would have to go back to a full-time job. And the Let's Plays were just a while ago, just a month ago, the Let's Plays weren't even getting 1,000 views. I was blown away when the last episode of Yetiland reached nearly 3,000 views. That's the same as some of the spotlights. That means as the subscribers grow and your guys' interest for my Let's Plays and Let's Builds grow, and there's more of you to watch these, that means I can actually start doing more creative stuff on this channel and less spotlights. The spotlights are great, guys. I enjoy doing them. I love looking at people's work. But at the end of the day, I'm a creative person. I'm an ex-artist for the game and film industry. I want to create. I want to teach you guys things. I want to make more tutorials. That's where my passion is. But there's a huge audience out there that wants to see creations, and they don't want to watch somebody build something. And we try to do our best to make things entertaining and do things at a fast 10 times speed or 6 times speed, depending. And you know, I think these videos have potential in the future, and it just comes down to numbers. It's a numbers game. So like, again, I'm iterating on the whole point of thank you guys for watching the Yetiland series, and I'm super glad that the Let's Plays are picking up, because the more they pick up and the more these are shared with people and the more you guys watch the creative content on my channel, the more I actually get to do it. If we can get our future Let's Plays and Let's Builds up to 5-10K views a video, I can do more of them. But right now I'm relying on the spotlights to hit 5 and 10K views, and I have to make like 3 of them a day to keep up with the average YouTuber that gets 20,000 views a day. So yeah, so that was a bit of a tangent, a rant. I'm just trying to find things to talk about, guys, and let you guys get to know my brain a little bit better while we sit through the mundaneness of building supports. So just speaking my mind as we go and letting everyone know where we're at. So yeah, this part was pretty cool here. It was a tricky one because this is like an inversion corkscrew loop. It's a tricky one. So I wasn't sure I was going to approach it, and then I decided to come up with this cool tactic where it would be a back support with a side support, clipping them in together, and then I figured I could actually mirror it on the other side. And it worked out pretty awesome. I really love this part when you're riding through it as well. So anyways, yeah, I really love doing these videos, guys. The Let's Plays, the Let's Builds, because I just get to sit back and be me. You know, I don't have to worry about people being like, do your research, bro. And, you know, sometimes the spotlights can get quite stressful considering how many I have to make and how many I have to edit in order to keep up with other YouTubers. And these videos here, all that goes away. It's just me, you guys, and the creativity. And I would love that to be more prominent on this channel in the future. Kind of like how Silverette does it. He just does what he wants to do. And although he doesn't do it full time, I don't believe. So he's just more of a hobby for him. But I have my reasons for trying to do this full time. Some personal things going on, and I don't really want to discuss them. But I need to be at home with some people right now in my life. So I'm trying to make this work with the little time that I have to do that. And so this means a lot to me, being able to turn this into a job. And I could easily go back to my old work and do that. But, you know, there's a reason I started doing YouTube a year ago. And I have all this passion inside of me and all this creativity. I love to talk to people. I love to get excited about things. I love to, you know, try and be contagious with my creativity and enthusiasm towards things. And I think I try and show that as much as possible throughout my videos. So I figured there must be an outlet for somebody like me other than just sitting in a cubicle working all the time. That just drove me nuts, and I felt like I wasn't living up to my potential. So I started doing YouTube full-time while working a full-time job. And I decided as of, November, I would not go back to work after the holidays. And I knew I had about 2 months to try and make this work. And I went full bore on YouTube, gave it my all. So it was like, I was doing it full-time before, and I only got to 250 subscribers over 10 months of doing it, but I also had a full-time job. So doing double full-time, like taking the hours that I'd be at work and then taking the hours after work and adding it all together and focusing it all at YouTube, we absolutely just blew up. So that was a sign, a sure sign saying, you can do this. And so I have savings, I had this, and now a little bit of revenues coming in, and it's not much, but everything is starting to stay afloat. So we're able to do this right now, and it's been a fun process. So I want to be able to just get more into the creative stuff on this channel, and I still will always do the spotlights no matter what. And I always have new ideas, and it's fun being able to just kind of come up with ideas and share them with you guys. And for me, it's the ultimate experience. It doesn't really matter how much money I make or how much, you know, success we have on this channel. As long as I have enough to survive and maintain, the important part is having fun and being creative, because that's what drives me as an individual. So yeah, that's a lot of ranting. I feel like I got really personal with you guys here. Building these supports, man. I had I had a lot of time to think about things. And I gotta, usually what's odd is whenever I'm talking to you guys while I do this, I usually talk about what I was thinking about while I was building these things. I have like two brains, or I mean I have two voices in my brain, in the sense where I can work with one half of my brain while I completely think of something different. I mean my brain is a multitasker in that sense. I'm coming up with new ideas while I'm working on current ideas, and my brain has two different gears running at all cylinders. So I tend to be, you know, all over the place, guys. So what's going on with this footage here? Just checking the time here. We have about 5 minutes left. So I forgot to do the first beginning piece of the track because I was a little bit like unsure how I wanted to do it. The reason we started on the back side of the cliff was because I wanted to get the easiest part down and then kind of like build from there. Kind of needed to know what my structure was. So from here, we're going to be doing some kind of like, it's coming out from the cliff and underneath the cliff, and it's hanging in and kind of being supported from the top and the side. So that's like the most trickiest one. So I had to come up with a new design. I had to come up with a new design to get this part to work. Still not 100% happy with it, but once we have the yetis hanging off of it and the yetis are on it, I think the end result looks pretty good. I still feel like there should be more slanted slopes and a few more pieces holding it in there. And that, yeah, that's kind of the way it looks. It's fine, I guess. Could have done a little bit better. But I was pretty exhausted at this point. I was just like, let's just get this done. You know, after you did this for 10 hours. We just got through like 10 hours of me doing that stuff in 40 minutes. You could imagine the fatigue that sets in, the creative fatigue, because it's pretty much just a rinse repeat, and there was maybe 5, I'd say like 10 different style supports that we built throughout this whole thing. Various shapes and sizes. And that part's kind of fun, coming up with like a new way of going, how am I going to support this? What can I do? That's pretty fun. But then when you move on to the next one, you're like, okay, copy, paste, rotate, and it just becomes a mundane task at the end of the day. So that's kind of why I went on that tangent of talking about YouTube, where we came from, where we're going, and all that stuff. But yeah, hopefully I don't regret saying what I said. I don't see why I would, but I got kind of personal there with you guys. So sometimes it's good to open up, let you guys know my personality. I mean, you guys know me, and by now I'm a little bit crazy. I sing in some of my songs, I scream, I shriek like a girl. Some people call me Yoshi. I'm just I don't really care. Just want to have fun. And if being a silly goose means being crazy, then that's what you got to do. I just want to be me. And sometimes I like to get deep, talk about stuff. And I don't get to do that in spotlights, guys. So it's nice to be able to do these and just talk about things and let you guys get to know me, and you know, it's cool. It's a cool experience. We're just chilling. Even though right now I'm just talking to a camera or a microphone, at the end of the day, you do respond, and we're playing a radio game. I say something, you say something, and things like Darla come out of it. It's a pretty crazy world we're living in right now. Crazy times. Building videos, making things, being creative, and going back and forth through comments on a YouTube page. And then things like this come out of it. And everybody's smiling at the end of the day. That's all that matters. That's the whole point of this. So you can see here I'm obviously going through and cleaning up the terrain, making it so the supports are held in So we're gonna have to pull out certain bits of the terrain, push in bits, and overall just get everything looking kind of snug and nicely secure. And there it is, everybody. We're getting through it. We're on the final stretches. I'm getting Steam messages. I should have offline mode. That's all right. And we're just, finishing up the last touches here. We're almost done, and you guys get to ride the coaster. Like I said, I went back and I got the save, and I saved out a new recording. So you're going to see daytime and then nighttime with our triggered events from the last episode. Last episode, you guys didn't get the coaster with sound, so you're going to get the whole experience. You're going to get nighttime with the light triggers. Then you're going to get a daytime run with all the sound cranked, and then we'll come back to cinematic mode, and I'll say goodbye to you guys. So here it is. I'm going to actually mute my mic and let you guys just fully enjoy this. So I'll talk to you guys in a bit. All right, I'm muting the mic real quick because we have a little bit of time in between both runs. Now we're going to go over to a nighttime scene first person. So we get to see all the triggered events plus the sounds. So here we go, guys. The mic again. Alright everybody, there's the nighttime run. We're going to go into cinematic mode while I give out the outro. So I got about 2 minutes here. Forgot to slow it down there. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Hopefully you guys found it somewhat entertaining, even though we're just building supports. I tried to get a little bit personal. We talked a little bit. You guys got to know me a little bit better, I guess, or how my brain works. And you got to know what's coming up, some spoilers, some teasers, I guess, and that sort of thing. In the next episode, we will be doing Darla, the station. Darla's station. I guess the heart of the coaster, you could say. And I'm really happy with the way that turned out. I'm really excited to show you that. And the episode after that, I have footage for. I just have to finish up a little bit, so I don't know if it's going to be coming out anytime soon, hopefully. And we're going to be putting Yetis all over the supports, and that'll be really fun. Once we're done that, we'll do a few final adjustments, a few tweaks, and then we'll probably release just a pure point of view video, no commentary, of Darla the coaster in its finished glory, and we'll probably have another one way in the future when the park is actually finished, because the surrounding environment will have changed a lot. So that's pretty much going to do it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always. If you like this video, please be sure to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more Daily Planet Coaster videos. And let me know what you guys think of Darla so far down in the comments below. Alright everybody, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye now.